Alright, so for those that are listening and watching, I'm hoping that I can work something out with one of my enemies. One of the joys of doing that is being able to have that ability and talent and surrounding. I am going to do a response to Krist's comment on one of my video because he was actually more civil to me than ever before, to be honest, and I have to agree on some things. But I want to clarify something. I didn't say that Krist, and my intention was not to say that Krist was responsible for swatting Jared or nothing. I didn't intend to mean just Krist. I meant that some of the people possibly, or it might not even be the Jared Brigade. So if I made any assumptions whatsoever, I apologize. I'm going to respond to parts of your comments. The other parts I like to respond to you later because there's some researching I have to do on my hard drive, because there's some things I agree with, but it's going to be in a constructive way. I like dealing with people like Krist when people like him permit me to, you know. So he says quit comparing my behavior to Jared. I didn't really compare your behavior to Jared. I don't know where you get that from. I was saying, I mean, you and Jared are no comparison. What I was saying is that some of the things that Jared does, as far as some of the things that trolls do, I'm not necessarily saying you, but if I implied you, and I think I might have, I apologize. You see, I don't really know you. I went by your behavior towards me and pretty much just me alone. And sometimes when you represent people, you got to be very careful, and I'm guilty of that problem too. So we all make mistakes. So maybe your behavior is not quite like Jared, but let me ask you a question. I'm being very constructive. Isn't it when Jared contacts people on Facebook, and I see you took snapshots, and again, I'm being very constructive with you. Isn't it contacting people and saying you shouldn't be hanging with Jared? He says he'll rape people. Stuff that you know that Jared met in a way, and this is way before the pedophilia stuff. This is stuff that's gone back 3 years ago, or 4 years ago. Stuff that he say that Jared willingly said that I was joking, even though I didn't agree with the joke. But I understand that you took it literally yourself, and you and some people were contacting women that Jared contacted and was persuading them not to be bothered with Jared. If anything, as far as success, Jared made it on his own, and I disagreed when you guys interfere with that behavior. Jared's actions automatically would determine whether those people want anything to do with Jared. So I disagree with the fact that you contacted random people on Facebook that you found out that Jared was trying to socialize with, whether if those people were women or not. Now, the one thing I will agree with, and this is obviously the truth, it's no if or buts about it, but Dog Lover said, and I actually spoke to her privately one time before you guys have told her some stuff about me that was over the top and really over exaggerating everything, said to me that Genesis, the same person we're talking about, Jared, was trying to get her to come over his house without his parents to have sex with her, and that she was describing in her videos, and she was saying to me that Jared kept saying that I am an alpha male and I have needs and all this stuff, and she was telling me that Jared was never much of a friend to her. He mostly kind of said what he felt like, and the interest that she put out to Jared as far as communication socially, it wasn't in Jared's interest whatsoever. It was kind of much like when I analyzed her response to me one time, it was more like exactly how it went with Jared. The only reason why that I continue with this Jared thing, because it's not to defend him, it's to make an example to anybody who is different than other people, and even people in between. Something tells me, and I had a premonition that told me to do that. If you don't believe in premonitions, for those that are watching, I'm sorry. Reading again. See. Also, quit claiming we only criticize Jared. Quit claiming we can only criticize Jared if we do it politely. Jared hasn't earned politeness from anyone, including you. Let me ask you a question. I disagree with that part a little bit. One side I disagree with, and the other side I don't. Let me tell you the one side I agree on. When Jared does the stupid stuff that he does, and the things that he's doing that's out of hand now, politeness sometimes is not always the way to go. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as with myself, and I say this because I know this by heart, I didn't see no reason I didn't see no reason in rhyme for you to be unpolite with me or any of the people on the internet, with the goons and yourself, to be unpolite with me whatsoever. I might have made some mistakes, but you know, again, who hasn't? I might not have been the most best human being on the earth, but who hasn't been? I might not have been the most whatever pleasing to people, but who hasn't? I'm not making no excuses. I'm speaking for what it is. And if a person, I believe, is being reasonable, no matter how much you disagree with them, if their unreasonability comes polite to you, why not be polite to them back? And to be honest, the reason why I said some of the fucked up stuff I said, because of your unpolitefulness, I made fun at and purposely use your unpolitefulness for attention just out of amusement. So when I said stuff like, oh, if you can rape any woman you want, who would you rape and why? I wasn't even serious with that. The only thing I was doing, as much as you can't believe that, or might not believe that possibly, but it is for what it is because I was just messing with not only people like you, Chris, but the other goons as well. And you guys ate it up like it was nothing. And even some of you knew that I only did it for attention, in a way that I was just using it for amusement. It wasn't supposed to be a joke or nothing. It was just for amusement, because you people had projected so much about me just because of stuff. You know, you guys were so mean to me in a way that you called me a psychopath. You said all types of stuff. Because I misspelled some words, you people criticized me and called me stupid. You don't even know the circumstances what I've been through, and I don't need to. And the fact is, to be that insensitive. In fact, there was a live stream I got on my hard drive of you making fun of the fact that I was trying to find the name of a song, and the spelling of it, you was giving me all types of words, mocking the fact that I couldn't read or spell. There was something that you did 3 years ago, Chris, and I remember it, and I saved it too. I don't know where to find it, but I had it saved. It was from 2016. I'm being constructive with you. I'm telling you for what it is. And I think if it's fair for me to apologize to you, I think it's fair for you to apologize to me. I'm not asking you to kiss my ass. I'm asking you to be real and ration. Simple as that. So, what caused that unpolitefulness as far as in you guys and the way you criticized me and Jared was because what really provoked me and provoked you guys was how you guys treated me. Now, this is not going to go without saying that I might be partially responsible for this too, between some of the things I might have probably did for attention that was sort of a little overboard, like some things I did with Sean Brennan in the past. That guy's way in the past, and other stuff. But long story short, it's been how many years and how long it's been since those times. And I'm not saying that you are part of this, but when I joined the Gorgeous George fan base, all I had was someone picking at me because I wrote long letters. I wasn't trying to be long or write long letters with nobody. What I was trying to be was someone that was just explaining stuff that was complicated for me to explain and didn't know the proper words to explain it in a way that the conversation would come out cohesively. This is why I'm doing this video, so this way you can understand. And I'm not just responding to you, I'm responding to anybody that is with you and anyone else. And another thing, I think it's wrong for somebody, and again, I'm not saying it's you, but there's a guy who on Facebook, I will not say his name, he said that he flagged my video and Jared's video because he didn't want me to hang with Jared. That's not right either. If you disagree with somebody, that's not the way you do. You don't start confusion between two people and then make the other person think someone did something and one person thinks the other. That's not how you do. And no, I'm not saying that you are doing this, but I know some people that you know that have done it. And I'm not going to say their names, but some of them are my subscribers currently as I speak. That person's my subscriber at least. So there's some skeletons in the closet. And I had skeletons in the closet. And see, I'm trying not to make this video too long, but I'm kind of reviewing your comment thing here. It says here, see, reading again. Also, quit claiming we can only criticize Jared if we do it politely. Jared hasn't earned politeness from anyone, including you. He treats you like shit, so why defend him? Well, I'm going by my faith. It's simple as that. The Bible says if a person hits you with the cheek, turn the other way. I know there are limits to that rule where you got to be firm even when you turn the other way, if at best, if you understand me in the metaphorical sense. The reason why I kind of don't look at Jared the same as the people on the internet, and I think your question is a very good one, is because as a special needs person myself that has never got the help I should have gotten, that has went to several classrooms including a school that is similar, seeing people similar like Jared all the time. Some of them, a lot of them that I've seen that were similar to Jared were not as illiterate as Jared, but then there were some that were similar. And from my experience, from my own struggles, and I guess what really made me a little more patient with people like Jared in a way that it came off as defending him, and I kind of was defending him at first, but I kind of start to defend him less because I notice now that some things he does know better on. And then the other part of Jared is stuff that is completely, utterly, exclusively only Jared in terms of him being in his own little world. So I identify with that balance because I've had a brain similar like that in the past. And the only reason why I defend that portion of him is because when you're in your own little world, artistic or not, or I'll say artistic or mental illness, sometimes you can't help it. And sometimes people with autism They refuse to jump out. And a lack of it, a part of it I blame his parents. But the other part of it I blame the things around him, like the environments, the schools, and the things I don't know. And Jarrett described in his live streams that, one, he said that he went to a special education class where they paired the high-functioning kids with the low-functioning kids, which is actually the same sort of experience that I've had. And the way he explained it, it seemed like it was no more different than up here where I live, which I kind of knew that and been knowing that. But the way he explained it, he seemed like he had problems. He seemed like he was a quiet boy. He didn't say those things, but the way he was talking about his experiences with schools, he basically had issues. And people like Jared find a way to dodge these issues. See, the problem is not getting directly to the source of the problem. I know that some criticisms that some of the gurus have gave me as far as legit criticisms, even though I didn't agree, some I did agree, some I didn't agree. The one I didn't agree with is psychology or group sessions. The reason why is because a lot of times these things never address the exact problem of a person's mental illness as far as being socially awkward like Jared or myself. And a lot of times the only way you can address it is if a third party, like a parent or a loved one or somebody that really cares about people like Jared or myself, to really get down and very committedly be as critical as possible in researching, figuring out the strengths and weaknesses of your children as far as a parent, everything. I talked about parenting not long ago and how much it's important, especially if you're dealing with special needs people. And I don't know nothing about raising children as far as actually doing it physically. I never babysitted no one in my life. I've had kids in the neighborhood that would come up to me and I would just ignore them because you kind of know not to talk to strangers. But if they say hi to you, you can say hi to you, but that's as far as you'll go. People look it up to me like I'm their dad or something. I'm like, you know, you smile and then you walk away. Get what I mean? And then one little kid, he comes up to me, he's like, "Can I have $5?" I said, "I don't have $5." And which I did, but the point is, I said no because you don't come up to a stranger and ask for $5 out of random, especially a little kid. So, but my point is that parenting plays a big role in performance. As vigilant as the parent is how the child is going to come out. The less vigilant you are, the more less performance as far as the grace of the child and the way things will work out in their life, their personal life, their everything will come out either success or less success, So I defend Jared and some things as far as the misguidedness, but there are some things of Jared I don't defend on. So you saying that I defend Jared completely is something I don't agree with. But I will say this, your question is, I do agree with this. Jared he did treat me like he did treat me like a piece of shit. He makes up stories saying that I lit fires in buildings. Only thing I ever did was basically projects for my house, but I'd never gone as far as to harm nobody or lit fires in any places. Someone made up a story about I lit fires in a Goodwill when the only thing I did was seeing a box of matches that I found and was trying them out because I know that they look like they were from the 80s, and some matches, when they get old, they don't work like they used to. The potent just wears out. So I had sense enough to go to the bathroom with the running water, was testing one match and found that they were in great shape and they worked, and I was going to buy them until someone had said something and they took it away. So someone's been putting out stuff that I light fires in Goodwill, which was never true. I was just testing out something I was going to buy that they was selling for $1. So that's just, I guess maybe I'm a little overboard, but I'm just giving examples to stuff and maybe ideas to both our flaws. Jared would make up stuff. Now he's making up stuff saying that I bombed schools, and that's a lie. I mentioned something in the video in terms of if you can rape anybody you want, and then I mentioned in that one video, if you could bomb any place you want that mistreated you or whoever, or family members, who would you bomb? And again, just like what I said before, that was to arouse people like you. It probably wasn't a good idea, but again, I was in a bad mood. I basically got tired of the immature drama, and I just wanted to make fun of the whole fucking thing. And that's pretty much it. So reading one more time. So the politeness and the lack of it from you people, it kind of came off as sort of, maybe part of it was my fault, but during the times when I acknowledged it, you people still brought the past in the past instead of keeping the past to the past and at the past completely. My mom always taught me that if something is over and it's in the past, don't bring it up. If it's not in the past and it's still current, then it's another story. Because it's not in the past. It hasn't passed. It's not done. Reading your thing. This is your last. It says here. Alright. It says here. Also, stop taking the internet so seriously, Jeremy. I agree with that. There were times I took the internet seriously, but also you gotta understand, how would you know, and how would I know, like somebody that doesn't know about the internet like myself, how in the world would someone on the internet like myself that's new and doesn't have no idea that when you say you hate somebody, you actually think that they're serious? Sort of like what I did in those videos I did that I just got finished talking about. Though that was wrong, but I'm giving that as an example. Reading here again. Also, stop taking the internet so seriously, Jeremy. That's why I trolled you originally with the I hate you thing. I actually didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I didn't actually mean it. I'm sorry. I misread that sentence. I actually didn't mean it. I was just fucking with you. But of course took it seriously. You forgot to put, it says here, but you of course took it seriously. I'm sorry. I'm going to read this sentence over again. See, my mind is on some of the responses I'm going to trying to do, and I'm not focused on this, so I'm going to read this again. Also, stop taking the internet so seriously, Jeremy. That's why I trolled you originally with the I hate you thing. I don't actually mean that. I was just fucking with you, but you of course took it seriously. I doubt this comment will even go through to you, though, since you can barely read and comprehend words. I can comprehend what you're saying. As far as reading, I agree with that. I've been robbed of that, and I'm not saying it as an excuse. It is for what it is. There were lawyers involved, and they were not helpful. And it was something that I told Marty McFly to, and I'm surprised he didn't. I'm surprised he didn't go and say nothing to nobody. I told him my story, because since he was a lawyer and I trust him at the time, I thought he was going to refer me to some people that he knew. He seemed like a good person, but this is just me alone. I don't think he's a good person, but that's just me. Just leave that alone. But as far as I'm concerned, I think I comprehend what you're saying. You're saying that I always look at you or your posses for something that happens to Jared. Well, I don't know about the other people, but for you personally, if I mention your name and then it came off as you comprehending the fact that I mentioned you and you exclusively, I apologize. And taking the internet seriously, I definitely had a problem with that. When I was younger, you should have seen me worse. Every time someone called me a name, I used to tell them off. I used to get into it, man. It's sort of similar to how Jared would do these rage videos. I used to do that so much. And again, only thing I was doing, really and truly, was basically thinking that I can just have my last say, and that's it. But I've learned a lot since then, and this was back in 2009, 2010, 10 years ago, man. So, but even in spite of being able to take people saying mean stuff to me, without actually responding to it, as far as just people calling you stupid, you know what I mean, just simple stuff like that, there were some stuff that I took seriously. Like, I really thought you hated me, and because you always said I hated that Jeremy, and you never said that. And believe it or not, there are people in real life that hate other people. You understand that? There are folks that have organizations, like Jared talked about in his home, in his own deluded mind, like neo-Nazis that hate certain races. You know what I mean? People that are, there are some people, some organizations, there are some places, and I'm not suggesting anything that Jared says. I'm just making examples, so don't misunderstand me now. There are some things, and there are some people that do hate. But to troll someone by saying that I hate you just because they don't take the internet seriously, maybe what should have been done, and this is my opinion, you might not like it, but like you're entitled to your opinion, I'm entitled to mine. I think what should have been done is you should have said that I was trolling you, and that you should have just said that the way you handle this next time, Jeremy, is that you don't take it seriously. Because you got to understand, I don't know about trolling. I said this in several videos. I wouldn't know trolling if someone, or if I tried, or if someone were to teach me. I know a little bit of it now since of what you're doing. But before, I don't know. And I can't say that I know 100% because I don't know. I don't agree with this stuff, yes. But I understand it now a little bit. Not 100%, but a tiny bit. And I say what little is better than nothing. I took it seriously because I didn't understand what I've actually done. I was just checking out your channel in 2016, and that was it. And you know, I like to meet people. I like to be friendly with people. There were things that I've done. Like that one time I went off on Sean Brennan, and because he didn't respond to me about this song I wanted to know, and that was that Odyssey 3001. You know, that part was my fault. That was my own ignorance and stupidity. I take full responsibility for that. I don't know if some of the goons that are watching remember that part. You know, the ones that are with this, that are subbing to my channel. But I take full responsibility for that. And I take full responsibility on something else. There's so much that's happened within 4 years or 3 years, you know. I probably wouldn't know. But you know what really actually offended me? It's not the stuff you're saying in this particular response. What offended me is, and I just want to say this, and it just might as well show this here. What offended me is the fact that you actually think that couldn't comprehend what people say. Though I can't read, I have things that read for me. I actually had this speech notes thing. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Speech notes is a app or thing that you can only get through Google Chrome, and it reads for me. And then whenever I understand, I type it back. So I'll give you an example, and I'm sure you've seen this before. Speech notes. This is how I type, this is how I do, and yeah, it takes, so like if someone were to chat with me in a live chat, it would be slow because unlike you or anyone else that can type because you can spell the things you're saying from your mind, I gotta do something like this. Hello, nice to meet you. And it'll take about 2-3 minutes just to type like one paragraph sometimes. And then not knowing how to spell kind of has its disadvantages with bad grammar and not knowing what good grammar is, or if you have something long to say, you're not going to be able to kind of, you know what I mean? So just looking at this perspective, just understand me in that perspective. I'm trying to say, my words are mixing up, so I'm sorry. But I comprehend everything you're saying. I think I kind of cleared it up very bad as far as just, you speaking to me. I'm going to go over this, and I'm going to show you how I was able to read your thing, and I'm doing it now. And it says, I didn't swat Jared, so quit implying I did. Period. I don't agree with that shit. Quit comparing my behavior to Jared. I also didn't dox him. Also quit claiming we can only criticize Jared if we do it politely. Jared hasn't earned politeness from anyone, including you. He treats you like shit, comma. So why defend him? Question mark. Also, stop taking the internet so seriously, Jeremy, period. That's why I trolled you originally with the I hate you thing. I didn't actually mean that, comma. I was just fucking with you. But you, of course, took it seriously, period. I doubt this email will even get through to you, even though since you can barely read and comprehend words. You're right about the reading part, but comprehension as far as a person sending me something and actually understand what they are saying to me as far as their thoughts, that's the comprehension that I can understand. But this is how I was able to read your thing and memorize it in my mind.
I didn't swat Jared, so quit implying I did. I don't agree with that shit.
See what I mean?
Quit comparing my behavior to Jared. I also didn't dox him. Also, quit claiming we can only criticize Jared if we do it politely. Jared hasn't earned politeness from anyone, including you. He treats you like shit, so why defend him?
I'm not going to play this whole thing, but yeah. I wanted to review your comments, your comment to me. And let me also say one thing. I also remember about a year ago that some people, that you and some other people were saying to this dog lover woman who, the only interest I've had with her was just, I guess because of the Jared Genesis thing, and that was it. But there were people, and I'm not going to mention names, that were saying you shouldn't be hanging out with Piss 4400. He has Charles Manson as his picture. You people have this misunderstanding that I worship Manson, which I don't. I agree with some things that Manson says about how things are and people think as far as watching the interviews, but I don't agree with Manson completely. And my belief as far as the murders is just my personal opinion. But as far as I'm concerned, you use that as an excuse to try to get her not to speak to me. And the only thing I was doing was being friendly. I wasn't trying to hit on people. I had people that used to comment a year ago and said that I was saying some devious stuff, and I had enough of it where I did a video saying that Dog Lover was ugly. The only reason why I did that video was to kind of, I guess, get people to knock it off for the fact that, you know, one, I'm not interested in Dog Lover. Two, what is it when you try to ask a person a question like a human being, you want to think it as creeping on somebody if it's a female. But what happens if it's a male at the same time? I mean, seriously. I'm not saying you necessarily, but there were some people that you know, I'm going to say, that were doing that stuff. They were saying things about me that had nothing to do with Jared. You people couldn't even get the idea, and I'm being very constructive here. You people didn't even get why that I did a review about someone I knew from one of my schools I've been to, a teacher's aide. You thought I was stalking her, and the only thing I was doing was reminiscing on something that happened about a little over 10 years ago, of some things I used to do, and things I used to do, and other stuff I did that kind of kept me from being depressed about not having no friends, not having nobody. Though the things I did was wrong, but it's nowhere near comparison to the stuff that Jared has said. I never said anything about raping that person or whatsoever. But I did had a good time when I was younger, saying the stuff I said, you know, as far as, like, I guess, hormones as a younger individual. I will say that. And as far as I'm concerned, I was doing a study on social interaction this time after over 10 years. And you put and just a long story short, you people took it as if I was stalking. If I wanted to stalk the woman, I would want the address, the phone number, everything. I didn't. Only thing I did, and you people don't even really know the story. You just you don't watch the whole videos. That's another thing. Why say something about a person if you can't watch the whole thing? If you're gonna know and speak something about a person, even if the content of that person's material is boring, watch through it, because you never know what your comprehension might be wrong. Because part of what I do when I study stuff is I always make sure that my comprehension is exactly as I understand. And if not, then I'll know, because even if I watch something that's boring to me, I find out information that's enlightening that kind of corrects myself into understanding something even better than I did the first time or the second time. So the problem, I think, with you people is just a lack of communication in thoughts and in comprehension on the other person's end, or both sides. If we can work this out like adults and stop this nonsense, that will be awesome. And while you're at it, I actually emailed Dog Lover about over a month ago, and I let her know why I made that video. And basically it was just really to make fun of a bad situation, of the fact that there were some people that made a big deal that this woman was speaking to me, and that people were making comments saying he was creeping on you and all this stuff. Just making comments. This stuff I took snapshots on, that was a year ago. And this has nothing to do with you as an individual, but you got to understand where I'm coming from. So in one way, I kind of resented you people, and I did some stuff purposely out of spite, with you people. And if I did anything to offend you people, I apologize. But I think with that said, we have to move on in a way that how we handle things, how we take things, how we say things, needs to be handled a lot better than this. I think starters, I want to thank Krist for being very nice to me. He actually, I didn't expect for Krist to come up to me. And no, I'm not looking for no friends. I'm just saying out of the truth, you know. I'm sorry this has been 40 minutes, but it's an explanation. Some things take a long time to explain because the idea is for you to understand exactly where I'm coming from. So that is my goal.